the last episode of Bellas Trailblazer Series, a weekly series throughout Women's History Month where we highlight Latina trailblazers who have excelled in their respective industry. I am your host, Flery Cervello. We are broadcasting live via Facebook and BronxNet Television. Today, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome a Latina and Dominicana who has worked in the construction industry for over 13 years. Currently, she is the lead estimating engineer in pre-construction at Turner Construction Company and has led major projects in NYC in addition to owning and operating a family-owned business in the retail and commercial sector for 10 years. Please join me in welcoming Ana Tavarez. Ana, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
It is a pleasure for me to have you, not only as our last episode, but also as a Latina that's making things happen. Now, tell me really what it is that you do at Turner Construction.
So first, I want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have a voice as a Latina woman in construction. There are many of us who are not really been able to be part of that industry because it's male-dominated predominantly. And we're breaking boundaries, and I feel that with me being part of such a big construction company, which is #1 in the United States, and we're also worldwide, I think that we're opening doors to all the young Latina girls that are coming behind us and letting them know, you guys can do it, you guys have the opportunity, and even more, you have even more open doors than probably I had growing up.
And I'm sure that was very tough for you. And yes, that is the absolute truth. I actually work with different agencies, and I actually know a few of my friends who are in the industry, and they tell me the same thing.
It's male-dominated. It's very hard. You have to prove yourself 3-4 times. So,
and as a Latina, it's worse. So congratulations to you, because that's a very
thank you.
That's a very deep. And no, because you're opening the ways, the pathway to a lot of our youth.
Right.
So tell me exactly more about that.
If I can give you a little bit of my background. I am a 40-year-old woman, which I'm very proud of.
40 is the new 20.
40 is the new 20. I do not feel 40 at all. I have 2 kids. Their names are Camila and Sebastian. They call each other 7-Eleven. They actually told me they wanted me to take them to 7-Eleven and take a picture in front of the store.
Now, why is 7-Eleven?
It's a retail commercial store.
No, but why do they call each other 7-Eleven?
Because my daughter Camila is 11 and my son Sebastian is 7.
Okay, that
so they said, Mom, when I turn 7, Camila is 11, we will be called 7-Eleven. So rewinding back 30 years ago, I came to this country when I was 10 years old from the Dominican Republic. Yeah. I came from very humble beginnings, coming to this country with my parents, living in basically a basement, which is usually the American dream that we are all trying to go after, right? We leave our country, we come to the United States thinking that everything is going to be so beautiful. Well, reality check. Yeah. I came in, I remember it was April, and it was very gray outside. And I'm like, well, I don't think I like this. I was very comfortable back in the Dominican Republic. And, you know, adapting to the American culture was quite a challenge. I remember, you know, going to middle school and interacting with the kids, trying to learn the language. It was also very hard. Fast forward a couple of years later, I went to one of the toughest high schools in Williamsburg, which is now, back in the day, used to be called Los Sures. Yeah, people don't know that in Williamsburg. And, you know, my parents didn't know any better. So, you know, they sent us to the most closest high school to the district because, you know, parents did not, at that moment, they were not able to go and figure out what are the best school districts. And this is where it all starts. Yeah. Where can you send your child to a good school district that can provide the tools for your kid to go to the best colleges? This is where it all starts, the school district. Absolutely. If your parent does not know which school you're going to and they do not have the education to guide you to the schools, it's either sink or swim. Yeah. In my case, in my sister's case, we have been bonded together as twins forever. You'll hear a little bit about her
And
later.
they actually do look like twins, guys. They actually look alike, and we have pictures later on
Yes.
to show you.
So my sister and I stuck together throughout high school, you know, having different gangs, fighting outside. We were always trying to stay away from that, you know, learning the language, going through high school. I applied to college. There wasn't really much guidance at the time. It was for the grace of God that I landed at City College. I honestly don't even know how. But eventually, I didn't know what I wanted to do there yet. I just applied because all I knew was, okay, I want an education, and that's all I know. I'm going to apply to all these colleges, and I'm going to go there. So I went there. I ended up doing architecture.
Which there's not that many CUNY
There aren't.
schools
City
that
College,
have
yeah.
that program.
So City College actually is one of the best programs out of the City University that offer the architecture, and they also have a BA and a master's in architecture. So it was meant to be.
Yeah.
There are things in life that are meant to be. So I graduated from City College, and at the same time, I was working full-time in the family-owned business. So I was multitasking.
So you not only owned, so you were because this is really interesting, guys. Like, and she told me her story. So you were flipping, like just making breakfast, and you would go to
run
like
out,
back to
yeah.
like school, and you
Yes.
would come back. But you actually not only did you flip like the breakfast in the morning and
Yes.
came back at nighttime, but you
Yeah.
actually took control of that. You actually operated that.
Well,
which is
I did the
incredible.
books, right?
Right.
I ran the books of what a business is supposed to be like, and I did it through the toughest times where there were times that we didn't know how we were going to pay Con Ed, and I found a really interesting way. I remember I would call Con Edison, I will give them a check, and then there was some weird way that I was able to hold them for 3 or 4 days until I was able to run to the bank and deposit the money.
Wow.
So it was a very interesting time in my life where, you know, I worked very hard, didn't take any vacation. So if anybody thinks that making it means, you know, not working hard, you're wrong. You have to work very hard, but at the end of the day, it will pay off, definitely. So I kind of jumped back and forth, but going back after I graduated from
You're
City
absolutely
College,
fine, by the way.
after I graduated from City College, I got a small architectural job at the school, and I was there for over a year. So my husband, who has been one of my most motivators, I got together with him when I was in my 20s. He told me one day, he's like, "You're a very smart woman. I don't understand why you're working in a place where you're not excelling or making the money that you should be making. I see other people that don't have as much quality as you, and that hit me so hard. And I think in life you really need to have people that can tell you the truth
And could actually push you to
and
move
that can
forward.
push you, because sometimes you don't know how smart you are until somebody else probably tells you, and they're like, no, you can go and do this. So one day, I'm like, yeah, he's right. I suck. What am I doing? I need to go and get a better job. I mean, what am I doing here? So Turner Construction, this is how kind of the story of how I got my job. Turner Construction, usually when we partner up and build a project, we partner with either the school or whoever the developer is, and we try to give something back to the community. At this time, Turner was building the dorms at City College. Back when I graduated, we did not have any dorms. We basically slept on the floors. I remember going to college for a whole week, and my family wouldn't see me. And what did we do? We slept under the tables. We would bring, you know, sleeping bags or maybe sleep in someone else's house. So it was sort of that. It was a really hard situation. Then they built the dorms, and that was a whole different.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
That
is.
That is incredible. I'm sorry. I'm like still trying to image you sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, sleeping on the floor,
and
eating really bad Chinese food every night, and just not being close to your parents and just trying to make it and not letting anything, you know, bring you down. All you could think is education is the only way out. So one day, I saw a sign that said Turner Construction Management Program. And I'm like,
where was this? At the school?
it was
City
at the
College?
school on the door. And I'm like, I could take this class, and I'm going to end up working for that company.
Hey,
So my mindset
speak it into existence.
my mindset was straightforward, going and saying, I need to listen to my husband. We were not married at the time, but my boyfriend. I need to get a better job because I can do better. And I believe that if you think you can do it, you will go get it and you will achieve it.
That's very important.
Yes, but you have to believe in yourself.
Because we have to have faith. And if we don't have faith, then what's worth it, right?
So I took this class with a coworker of mine. His name was Juan. He was the most shy guy you would ever meet. I remember taking this class Thursdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays every night during the summer for 6 months. And I said, Juan, we're going to sit in the front of the class. We're going to let the people that are leading this class, which at the time was Stephanie Burns. You will soon meet her. She's now vice president of the company, and she was the one leading this effort of the construction management class. And so we took the class. At the end, they said, we want all the students to make a presentation, and we want you to come up with your own ideas, and we would like you to come and present it. So me thinking, I'm going to end up working with that company. I said, Juan, I want you to go buy a suit. I got me a suit. And we were working on some projects. I put up a PowerPoint presentation. And we got up there and we started doing the presentation. And it went well. Okay, fine. The day that the ceremony, we were getting our awards, one of the vice presidents of the companies came up to me and he said, Miss Ana Hilda, because people call me Ana Hilda at work. It's really Ana. We would like to invite you to the national conference to be a guest speaker.
What?
And I'm like, Stephanie, is he trying to hit on me? You know how it is.
But this is after you actually made the presentation.
Yes,
during
because
your school year.
Right, because they noticed me, which is what I wanted, right?
Right.
So when we were getting our awards, one of the vice presidents came over and said, would you like to give this presentation at the National Community Affairs in Washington, D.C.? I thought he was joking, obviously, or that he was an old man hitting on me. And I asked Steph, I said, Steph, is Hilton Smith really, asking me to do this? And she said, of course, Ana, if he's asking you, he really means it.
Now, Hilton
Smith, he was a vice president of the company. He now retired.
So
he was one of my mentors going in.
So you have the vice president saw your presentation at your class at City College.
Correct.
And grace over you. And all of a sudden, they invite you to the actual...
To be a guest speaker at the national
conference. That is incredible.
Yes. And that's the path of how I came in. So I said, me trying to be all myself, I said, I need to check my calendar. I will let you know.
Really? Did you really have your calendar full?
My calendar was empty. Try now. My calendar is super full. But my point is that in life, when you really want something, you want to be noticeable, you need to take action.
Yeah.
And because my boyfriend at the time told me this, that kind of gave me the power and the strength to do it. So here we go. This muchachita from Del Campo goes to this national conference. She's put everything on high class. She gets to this hotel. Welcome, Miss Ana Hilda. I remember, and I am not joking, Fledicent, I opened the door. I closed it.
Really?
I'm like, oh, this has to be the CEO's room or something like that.
Wow.
I had to videotape it at the time because it was so funny. So they welcomed me with a flower bouquet, and it was just amazing. We were there for a whole week. I had to give my presentation, and I remember that Juan, who, again, was very shy, he literally got frozen when we were talking. And I said, Juan, these people, we've been together with these people for the last week. They're family. Just relax, breathe, and try again. And everybody was just laughing. At the end of the conference, they gave me an award. And I was like, whoa, I am overwhelmed, I said, because I will be the first turn employee to ever get an award, even before actually getting the job.
Actually get the job.
So it was just so interesting. And then we had a final dinner, and the CEO of the company I know I'm making the story a little long, but it's my pride and joy. The CEO of the company, the CEO of the company, he was at this dinner along with Colin Powell at the time. It was a big dinner of over 300 people in Washington, D.C.
I'm sure you have all these politicians, all these CEOs.
It was, and there goes little me, Anna, trying to be,
from Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
From Los Sures at the time. Williamsburg
from the worst
is
part back then, right?
Williamsburg is now gentrified.
Yes.
And Hilton Smith goes, so Miss, and he's talking in the podium, so he's like, so Miss Anailda, this is your opportunity to speak and ask for a job at Turner Construction Company.
Did he really put you on the spot?
I get up.
But you haven't even presented.
Nothing. I get up and I said, Mr. Hilton Smith, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I think that it will be best if we have a conversation with the CEO first, get to know each other, and then I will ask for the job.
So what was his reaction?
They were just all laughing. It was just such a good chemistry we had. So the conference ended. I came back to New York. I emailed.
Wait, so did you speak?
Wait. I spoke with the CEO of the company. And
I thought that you were presented to like all these people.
I did.
Okay.
That was the previous part.
Okay.
But we met each other, we spoke, and then when I came back to New York, I sent an email thanking the CEO, and he told me that please send him my resume, that he would love for Turner Construction to have a person like me as part of their team.
Wow.
So I got my job through the CEO of the company at the time.
That is incredible. Whoever gets a job through the CEO of the company, like it's that's incredible.
So it's a story that I say it not because I'm being proud, but because in life, when you want something and you put your head to it, you will get it. And sometimes people might think that you are not capable of doing things, but you don't know what you're capable of doing until you actually get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That is so great. I was actually speaking the same thing in a workshop I led last week at Lehman.
Right.
Wow, that is incredible. Now, you always knew that you wanted to pursue a career as an architect or an engineer?
It's funny because no, I did not. And again, that goes back to living in a neighborhood that there weren't many opportunities, that you were not exposed to any of these things. I now, as a professional, go to middle schools and high schools and talk to girls about STEM programs and about how they can go into engineering. No one did that for me. I had no idea. It all just happened.
Okay. I never had that neither, so don't feel bad.
But it helps.
Yes, it does.
It helps tremendously to have someone tell you that there are so many scholarships out there, that there are so many opportunities out there. So what I do now, I go and I talk to kids about those things because I feel like I was not given the opportunity, and I was very lucky to have my father and my mom who always taught me, just go get that education. They didn't tell me how. I had to figure that part.
Yeah.
But I always knew that getting an education was the most important thing. So no, I did not know that I wanted to do that from the beginning, because that wasn't something that I was exposed to as growing up.
So it's really nice to hear how your parents and your husband now had motivated you to move forward. Did you have any other additional mentors that had helped you?
So aside from my father, who is the most humble person you will ever meet, he has always given me such good advice. I have many others. There's my uncle Tito, who I think you know. He has been sort of like a second father to me.
Oh, yeah.
And he has always instilled in me such good values about, being a proud woman and going places and being able to socialize. So I first learned how to interact with the social world through my uncle, because my dad was so shy, he would never take us anywhere. As well as many people that I work with at Turner at this moment who have encouraged my career and have mentored me in the different positions that I've acquired during my time at Turner.
So now you have 13 years at Turner. Tell us about how after you got the position
After I got the job.
with the CEO, tell us more about how was it as you
Yes.
came in, because now you lead actual projects.
Right.
And I'm sure you had to start from somewhere, right?
Well, yeah. So after, leaving that job in the architecture world, which I find out that doesn't pay very well, and coming to Turner, most of my friends who had been working already in the field, I came into the construction industry, which is one of the things that I try to motivate young girls, that it's a very high paying job. It's one of the highest paying jobs because, again, it's a men's world. So, it's even better for women because they're trying to attract more women. So I started, my first job was at Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is now very, very dear to my heart because my father just got diagnosed with cancer a year ago. And it's a funny story. We went to all these hospitals and we ended up at Memorial Sloan.
Which was a project that you had worked on?
That was my first project.
Oh my God.
I was an engineer there, and it was on 68th Street and York Avenue. So that was my first project. I had no prior construction experience. So this job to me is very, is very important because this is my first opportunity. I worked there with Kim Newscheller, which is now a vice president and construction executive of Turner Construction. And we worked at that time together. She's also a mentor of mine. I started there as a field engineer. After being there for a year, I was promoted to engineer. And
congratulations.
Thanks. Because of her, because she was a woman. And she's the type of woman that teaches you and encourages you to grow. So I was very lucky again that God put me in the right places with the right people.
It's like God put it like an assigned angel just for you.
I think He noticed that I worked so hard during the time that I was going to college and working in the business that He said she deserves something because she really has worked very hard. So working with Kim there, after 1 year, I got promoted, and then I went to JetBlue. So that's where I spent the next 6 years of my life, working at JetBlue Terminal 5 at JFK.
So you guys first demolished, like you were in charge of the whole demolition.
Yeah, so I was
which we also have pictures there.
So that's the Terminal 5. That's the new Terminal 5 of JetBlue at JFK Terminal. I worked there for 6 years, but I was the project engineer, solely myself and a few other staff, but it was my job. Terminal 6, which was the original terminal that JetBlue used to fly out. So I had to demo that. And this is the new Terminal 5.
Which is amazing.
It was, it's one of the most traveled terminals.
Yes, especially for us that go to DR, right?
Yeah, it has the cheapest flights.
I remember when I had to pick up someone or drop them off.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, that's in the construction. We have to go to the other one.
So.
But that actually, it's a great, the pictures were incredible. So tell us about how you how does it go from like the planning to the floor plan to the conception to then the final product?
So at JetBlue, right, I was a construction. I was in the construction, which what we call in the field. So what we call in the field is you're actually building the job. Wow. What I'm doing now, I am in the pre-construction. We get the jobs. We go out and we bid the jobs. We get awarded jobs, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. But the pre-construction side is where we get them so that we can send them out to a team of people to build them in the job. So I started actually in the field with my hard hat, with my boots.
We saw a picture earlier.
With my pants, but always got to put the nice lipstick and have the good hair because you can.
And the makeup, you can't forget.
You can, yes. You always have to look nice. So there, I was an engineer and I was working day to day with the architects, the engineers. When Turner Construction is a general contractor, I should have said that from the beginning. So what we basically do as a general contractor is we are the owner's representation in getting a job done from A to Z. We handle all the contracts. We handle all the schedule. We handle the budget. JetBlue, I believe, was $700 million. So we basically procure to all different subcontractors because we don't own machinery, we don't own materials. We basically own the respect of the field in having people that are capable of doing the job.
So you hire all these
So we hire all
subcontractors.
these subcontractors
Okay.
to actually do the job for us. And that's a department that's under the pre-construction department, that it's the procurement. So this is how all the materials get bought for the job. So you have drywall, that can be a big package. You have flooring, that, so I go to a place and I'm always looking at, oh, what's at the floor? Oh, wow, look at that. Because
I bet.
we do that.
Yes.
No, oh, that
And
exterior
you're able
wall.
to examine everything. Isn't that
That
funny?
exterior wall has steel mullions. It's a G glass. It probably costs $500 a square foot.
Oh my God.
Or this floor is vinyl floor. It's in between $6 to $7
So
a
come
square
on,
foot.
Latina making it, you know?
You know, the door fire rated, glass sidelights. So all those things we have to put into a huge estimate and work. So in the field, we get the drawings from the architects. We have the engineers looking at all the drawings, making sure every single day that the subcontractor that has that flooring subcontractor is following every detail on that drawing, on that specification, what color, what size, what type.
Very detail oriented.
Very detail oriented. So we are responsible to make sure that the job is getting built the way as per plans and specifications, because we are the eyes and ears of the owner, and we need to deliver a job on time, on budget, and on schedule. Because if we don't, then everybody loses. You know, there might be damages after certain days, you know, depending on the type of contract that you have. If it's a maximum guarantee contract, if we said that your job costs $700 million, it better cost $700 million because we told you, Mr. Owner, that this is your most maximum guaranteed price.
Have you ever had any loopholes? You know, it happens to
A
everyone.
million.
So how do you handle that? Like
So
what was your experience?
yeah,
Tell us.
so basically what we do is we have contingencies, we call them, and we have holes for all those oops moments. And every owner knows that these things will happen. You know, you buy a glass and the specifications said this type of glass. However, when we were buying it, we missed that it had to be a certain thickness, and now the thickness is bigger, which means more money. So in certain cases, it's our fault. So what do? We take money out of that particular pot, and we say we're going to pay out of this. But obviously, we need to get the owner's approval, because every dollar that gets moved in that budget, we manage it. But at the end of the day, the owner has to approve it. So we have to write approval letters, change orders. There needs to be right wording. We need to put the backup documentation to each one. So it's a very intense job when you're in the field.
I could imagine. So how are your hours and what's the day-to-day for you like?
Well, I always set my standards. I always say I come in at 8 o'clock. Usually when you're in the field, you're there at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
But because I was a parent, you know, you always have to start from the beginning and set your standards and your rules. When you go for a job, you say, these are my hours. If you can get your job done within these hours, and it's convenient to both you and myself, then we're okay. If we need to stay late, I remember there were nights we stayed until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night because we had a meeting the next day and we needed to prepare for that meeting.
Wow.
I remember when we were doing the final TCO, which is Certificate of Occupancy, which is very important because that needs to be given by all the different city agencies along with the Department of the firefighters, right? So we had to work weekends to get all the sign-offs, making sure that all the plugs in the building were working, making sure that all the punch list of all the items that were missing were put in place. So there's a lot that goes on, and there's all these different packages that everyone is responsible for. For example, exterior wall, somebody's responsible for plumbing, mechanical, fire protection, all the specialties. Imagine an airport. Imagine you having the signage package in an airport.
Yes. Oh my God.
An airport is all about signage.
Yes.
Wayfinding. How do you get to your gate? what's the graphic? Where are you now versus where your gate is? So being in the field is very tough.
Sure.
It's tough. You work long hours. You're meeting a schedule. You are against the clock. You need to make sure that your steel is in place, your metal decking, all your fabrication items, all your lead long items are in place. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun too, because in the field you get to walk. You're in the office, but you can also get to go outside and walk around the terminal and interact with people. So it has its pros and its cons.
So when you walk in, so let's go over like one day for you.
Yeah.
So I mean, it depends, right? Because you could be working on multiple projects. Do you actually handle multiple projects at the same time, or?
Now, when you're in the field, you handle one project, but you can handle different trades.
Okay.
So, for example, in the field, I could.
Because you have a team that you lead, right?
So in the main office, in pre-construction, if I'm, for example, I am doing Greenpoint Landing, which is a 3 residential towers that are going to be built.
Tower.
Beautiful, that are going
to. Yes, I have a picture right now.
That's actually Greenpoint Landing G1 that has been built already. That one is done. It's the Block D. That is 3 sets of towers that are going to be built starting September of 2019.
And these are residential?
And these are residential. The owner is Brookfield. We met with them yesterday. I love going to their offices because it overlooks the Statue of Liberty, and it's an amazing office. It's all white marble, amazing.
Nice.
So we met yesterday with the owner, and he basically said that we might get the job, so now we have new drawings. So I met with my team this morning, and I said, guys, this is a job for us to lose. So we better win this. Because, they called us back, we presented our budget, and now we have to go and give them our best and final number so that we can win this job. And it's a $420 million job, which will employ around 30 to 60 people.
Nice.
And, it's very interesting. So going back to JetBlue, when I was there, a typical day, I would get in at 8 in the morning. Obviously, you got to go get your coffee, talk to all the guys. Mainly, usually it's men. Back in 2008, there were a lot more men at the time than there were women. So you were usually, around a lot more men, which sometimes said very inappropriate things.
Oh, God. Especially in the construction site.
Especially in the construction site, and you being Latina and being a curvy woman, so you can imagine.
Yes. Oh, my God.
So now they put a lot of rules in place where there's a lot more respect than back when I started. But a typical day will be me walking the job site. We call it the job site. Walking the job site, making sure that the trades that I was handling at the time were on schedule, that they were pre-planning and doing a pre-test meeting of what were the activities of the days, which areas of the airport were going to be handled, what materials were coming in, going over the drawings, making sure that the details were according to the drawings, going back into the office, meeting with the subcontractors, because you also had to handle the financial part of your trades, making sure that they are, meeting the schedule, that they're getting paid, and they give you a requisition. You have to kind of review that and say, okay, Donaldson is a drywall guy. He's 40% done. Is he really 40% done? It's my responsibility to say yes.
You have to go in and check to see if...
You really have to, because it's become a really big problem. Some people have gone to jail. This is a federal document. You're forging and you're saying that this person is done 40% when they're only done 10%.
Wow.
So anything that you sign, it has your name on it, and you better make sure that it is the right information, because especially when you're in federal jobs, dealing with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which is, it's federal money. Even though it was JetBlue, it was not a private company. There's an alliance with the Port Authority where money is coming from the federal government. So you have to really make sure that what you're signing there is correct, because that money is being moved around. And there's been a lot of indictment lately because people, doing not very honest things.
Were there a lot of, is there a lot of women with your type of position right now that's leading?
In the estimating department, there's one other woman. So it's herself and me.
you.
And
Wow.
the rest are men. It's about 7 or 8 of us, and the rest are men. So, and the only Latina is me. So
Yeah.
I always find myself in the construction industry either being the only woman in the room or the only Dominican woman in the room,
Wow.
which is an honor to me, but I would like to see more Dominican
Yes, we want to
women
see
in
more
the room.
Dominican and more Latinas in general, right?
Yes,
More
correct.
Latinas running the show, because you lead a team of what, 10, 15 or 20 people?
A team of 10, 15 at times, depending on how big the job is.
Wow.
Like, for example, like I said, going back, I know I've been going back and forth, but for this Greenpoint Landing residential towers, we had a group of 15 people because it was such a huge job. And the complexity of that project is that we had 3 separate sets of drawings. So imagine going over 1,500 pages.
Oh my God.
You know, you have to go through everything to make sure that you've captured every single scope in there, because you have to make this huge budget and you have to submit that, and you got to make sure that you are covering everything and you're not coming shorthanded.
And the good thing is that you by trade are an architect, so you could be able to
Right.
see all those loopholes in the plan and all that
And
stuff.
so that's my job. My job is to make sure that I am assigning the different trades to all of the other estimators that are working with me on this particular project. But I, as overall, need to make sure that I'm filling in all the gaps and making sure that, you know, we are coordinating the spaces and making sure that everyone is capturing and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because sometimes you might get one package and you're only stuck on that package, but that package might affect many other trades. So we need to make sure that we coordinate so that there are no loose ends.
Do you wish that you did anything different?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. If I would do it all over again the same way. I feel like all the things that have happened in my life has had a purpose and has made me the stronger woman that I am today. If I go back 30 years ago, 20, you know, back in La Loma de la Gallina, where I grew up, which was the country, I grew up in a wooden house, right? Close to my grandparents who lived up the block. We had no electricity. My mom used to send me to go get milk like a mile away. You know, we had to go and yeah, there we go. That was where I grew up. We used to play in the backyard, and those were the most happiest days of my life.
Yes.
You know, I loved it. We actually go back every time we can. That was my grandma's house, and I'm very proud to come from those humble beginnings. And I feel like I've gotten both worlds.
Yes.
I got the rural part that kind of gives you the essence of being a good human being and being grounded. And I also have the professional living in New York City, you know, going to all these amazing events and all these amazing people. But at the end of the day, I'm Ana from La Loma de la Gallina in Yamasá, in Dominican Republic.
Yamasá.
This little girl that in her wildest dreams would have thought that she would have made it to corporate America.
Yeah.
You know, so
In the construction industry, which
in
is
the construction
even
industry,
harder.
which is even harder because it's a male-dominated industry. So I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't even change my days working, you know, working in the business while going to school.
Did you ever have anyone tell you when you were at your work ethics or in anywhere throughout your professional career that you would never make it? Or you're not good enough?
Not through my professional career, but I was always seen growing up as being lazy.
Really?
And boy, did I prove everybody wrong. I ended up being the strongest person in my whole family. Oh, Anita, she's so lazy. She's not gonna do anything.
No way.
Yes, I was seen as the lazy one, and I said, no, I'm not lazy. I'm just smart. I'm gonna work hard to pay somebody to do the work.
Wow.
But no, I wouldn't say that in the construction industry. I do have to say that sometimes you do get intimidated because you are working within so much men, and automatically you think that because they're white male, they're smarter than you. Well, that's not true. Once they open their mouth, sometimes I'm like, okay, this is what I thought was smart. And, you know, sometimes we have this perception that, white male, when they put a suit on, they look so presentable. But sometimes when you start a conversation and you realize that it's not all that, all that nice in there. So that's the only thing that I could say, that sometimes you can get intimidated. But going back,
I'm sure that you intimidate a lot of people in that boardroom.
Going
when you're
back,
like,
well,
when you're presenting
back
and when
to
you're
my
running
dad,
and
going
calling
back to my dad always taught me, you go into a room, you don't get nervous. Because at the end of the day, all these men that are there, when they take their clothes off, they're going to be just the same as, well, not as me, but just the same as another man. We're all the same. At the end of the day, when we are, how God brought us, we're all the same. And at the end of the day, people in their lives, all they're seeking is importance. And sometimes that's not everything in life, know? So I don't get intimidated by people. And I guess now that I turned 40, it's even harder. It's even more, it's even more
to challenge that.
I go into a room and I sit down and I let the other people talk. And when it's my turn, I do my job and I do what I have to do. And fortunately, I've had the great opportunity to be able to have good relationship with all of the higher ups at the company. Like last Thursday, we were at the ENR dinner. ENR is a magazine that portrays all the companies in construction, specifically in engineering. And I was with one of our general managers, Charlie. We took a picture pretending that we were Charlie's angels. So he's one of the top guys at the company, and I'm able to have that type of relationship with him. So I think that my personality and being so outgoing, and when I'm sent to a meeting with most of these guys, they can see that I am not intimidated by them. And if anything, I am the one starting the conversation. And, I'm the one speaking to them, so they know.
You're breaking the ice most of the times.
Yes, because sometimes you think, oh, he's so-and-so, you can't really talk to him. Why not? And
I never liked that stuff.
And it happens to be that they're the coolest, most funniest people ever.
Yeah.
You just have to break the ice and kind of go in and just have a conversation. They're human, normal, just as you are. The only difference is that they have a higher label than you as far as professional. They're the general manager or they're the CEO. But at the end of the day, they're humans. And human nature is just to talk to each other.
And that's very important. Now, what keeps you striving as
my kids, my daughter Camila, my son Sebastian.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. I want them to have an opportunity. I wouldn't say that, not the opportunity that I didn't have, but I would like them to have a better opportunity. I would like them to go to Yale University, to Harvard. Like, why do Spanish people always think that they're not entitled? And that's the difference between us as a community and the Caucasian people. Caucasian people are born thinking that they're entitled to everything.
Yeah, we don't.
Why aren't women getting paid more, level the salary? Because we think we're not entitled. And until we stop that mentality of not thinking, I cannot go in there and ask for a raise. I do not deserve this. We're never going to level the playing field on the pay gap between men and women. So I want my kids to learn, and I want them to grow up thinking that they're entitled to anything that they want. And if my daughter wants to go to one of the best colleges, which I didn't have the opportunity to, I would like her to do that. So that's my motivation, giving them, and also, giving other kids in not so privileged communities the example that they can really, with education, they can go anywhere and they can go to the best colleges. There's so many scholarships out there. People just don't know about them.
Especially for Latinas. I actually had a Latina
STEM. There's so many STEM
that had called me
yeah.
during the weekend of Thanksgiving, and and we sat down and I was guiding her because that's and she's interested in pursuing what your profession is.
And we need women in the construction industry, in the STEM programs, because there aren't many. And in many cases, there's so many different colleges that will pay for your education just to get you in the door. go into those colleges and apply. But sometimes we're not guided. We don't have the guidance. We don't know any better. Our parents don't know any better, and the people around us don't know any better. So one good thing that I always say is join an organization. That's a great way of networking. Join an organization so that you can, learn and meet people, and you don't know one thing might lead you to another. So I think that's definitely something that young kids can do.
Thank you so much for those words. I think that if you're watching youth or women who would like to pursue a career in construction, please do join an organization. There's actually SHIP, which is the Society of Hispanics and Engineers, which a friend of mine leads.
Yes. Very good.
In the New York chapter. And I know that they have an event actually coming up.
And they have so many different events that you can just go and join and meet people. It's all about meeting people and networking. We met at a networking event. We were there.
Ay, mujer.
Time passed.
Yeah.
And then, boom, I'm here.
Yes. Very unexpected.
Because we spoke.
Yes.
It's all about networking. You never know what the next step will take you.
That is very true. That's how you ended where you are today.
Yes.
What were the challenges? I know that you spoke about a few things, but tell me the challenges in your industry.
Yeah.
Right? Which is very important as a Latina.
So I think one of the challenges, number one, the language, right? That barrier, that accent. Having the owners take you into a meeting, for example, like yesterday, going to a Brookfield office and meeting owners and letting you speak with this accent, right? So that's something that you're very mindful of. And no matter how much you try to put that under the rug, we have an accent. We're Spanish. English is not our first language. I remember when I came to this country, it took me a whole year to say the number 13. And my friends helped me, and I finally got it. So I think one of the biggest challenges for me is the language and feeling confident when I'm speaking in front of an owner when we're going to present, because we have to do presentations and we have to do dry runs and go up and talk and speak. That's a big challenge. Another challenge is being a woman. Sometimes you get other positions are given to other men just because they're men. And that also is something that I've actually gone through some of that stuff lately. And I spoke up. I said, this is not right. I've been doing this for this long, and I've done this. These are my accomplishments, and I think I deserve this. So,
wow,
speaking
that must
up.
be, yes.
Speaking up.
Which we don't do, Latinas.
We don't do because, again, going back to entitlement, we think we're not entitled. If something is not right and you feel that you're doing a job and you're not being appreciated, you should talk. Talk to your manager. Talk to someone and let them know how you feel. Because if you've been working so hard and someone all of a sudden comes and just because they have somebody pushing him, they give him a position that was supposed to be yours, you have to raise your hand and you have to go to someone and say, hey, what's going on? So there are many challenges. Being a mom has to be on the top also.
Wow.
Because, I have a 7-year-old, and to juggle work, being a full-time mom and a wife, it has become one of the most challenging things lately for me, specifically with my 7-year-old son, which requires a little bit more time and effort. And sometimes I am in a meeting and I get a call that is, I have to take this call. How do you do this?
Wow.
And you're in a meeting and you can't take, but you have to, because if you don't take this call, you probably won't get this doctor to call you back or anything like. So it's very challenging. You just have to deal with it day by day. And one thing that I always do and people know me for is having a good smile on my face and not letting the little things bother me, and just keeping a positive outlook all the time, doing my job, and I'm just a team player, and I do whatever needs to be done for the team. And just because I'm leading a job doesn't mean that I'm not going to go and help somebody or try to do anything else that needs to be done to get the job done. So construction it's a lot of hard hours. I remember the past month, I was getting home at 9 o'clock every day, because I was working on this project, and we needed to sit with the operations team, which puts together the schedule, the logistics plan, and we were in the office until 9 o'clock every night. I get home, didn't have time to review things with my daughter. Her math grades were failing. So, these are things that is very challenging to be a parent and or a woman and then have to work late hours. But usually I only work till 5:30. So it depends on the project and the deliverable that we have.
And thank God to the team that you have that help you with your children.
Without my mom,
if it wasn't
sister,
because of them,
my brother, my husband,
we
everyone.
need a community, right?
It takes a community. Yeah, and I have it, thank God. So,
did you ever feel like throwing the towel at any of these projects?
This last one.
Yeah.
I also had a project back 3 years ago, 2015. We were working on the restoration of the New York Aquarium. And that was a very challenging job for me because it was not a new project, it was a piecemeal project. And it was scattered throughout 21 buildings in the New York Aquarium in Coney Island. And it was done through FEMA. FEMA is a federal agency, which is not easy. So you have to prove everything you do, and it was very challenging. However, I feel that everything in life that's challenging gives you rewards.
Yes.
I got a staff award because of that job. So, I look at it like, okay, I worked very hard, but at the end of the day, I was recognized, and that this job made me stronger. I also worked on another project, which was one of my first projects that kind of threw me into the leading role. I remember I was working with this guy named Stan Hilston. May God rest his peace. He died a couple of years ago. And he used to just want to leave a 5 on the dot to go drink. I shouldn't be saying this. But he left me all the work. So he was the lead estimator. And I was just, his estimator. But I ended up doing all the work. And it was a job in Mexico that we were doing.
Wow.
And I almost panicked one day. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And because of him, I learned the hard way because he basically gave me all his work to do. And I did it, and that's when I realized how challenges in life make you, smarter or make you stronger or make you realize that you didn't know that you were actually capable of doing that work. So that was my first leading job, without even me knowing that I was a lead, because it was his job.
That was a test.
Yes.
And thank you so much. I feel that you're so inspiring. You're absolutely inspiring. Just the fact that you give hope to everyone that's near you, and I'm sure. But we want to go into our Bellas Fashionistas in 7 seconds. So this is the time where we actually speak about fashion, right?
Interesting.
Before we move forward, and I want you to say this very, very quickly, which I actually do it afterwards. Let's do this now, right?
Okay.
So then we'll have a closed.
Sure.
Are you ready?
Sure. Bring it on.
I see skirts and button downs, and I love them.
Bring it on.
Who dresses you?
My sister.
Really?
Yes.
No way. Who is your favorite fashion designer?
Carolina Herrera.
Oh, I love her.
I love her.
Top female designer.
Yes.
And why?
Well, I love Carolina because she is such a classy lady.
Yes.
And her looks are timeless.
And she always, most of the time, is a button down and a pencil skirt, which I love. Fashion icon.
Oscar de la Renta.
Yes.
I gotta go with my Spanish people.
Top shoe designer.
I like Valentino.
Yes, Valentino is awesome. Top 5 dress codes. So dresses or pants?
Skirts.
Skirts. I should actually put this here, which I don't even have. A blazer or no blazer?
I usually do blazer, but I was feeling a little hot today, and I also I wanted to show off my stripes because I love stripes, but blazers.
Stilettos or thick heel?
Stilettos.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're not in work clothes, you're in?
I like nautical looks. I love stripes and the white pants and the jacket and a nice little shirt and flats. It's just so comfortable and you can go anywhere.
Yes. Makeup or no makeup when you're not working?
No makeup.
Yeah, I know, right? I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, no makeup. No makeup.
Now, in closing, what do you recommend a young Latina coming into the industry? Is it a career path that you will recommend?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's so much growth in the construction industry. One, there aren't that many
Especially
women.
now.
Two, you can make six figures. It's very high, very good paying.
Not as an architect, right?
No.
You have to
can't,
be
no.
into an engineer.
It's very rewarding. You get to know a lot of people in the industry, and there's a lot of different companies to go to. Oh, obviously Turner is number one. So, but there are many other good companies out there. But it's a great field. Again, we want women, and you know they are trying to attract women to go into the construction industry. So I absolutely encourage anyone who would like to incur in that type of career to go ahead and do it.
So one of the things that you said for our audience now, if they want to be able to go into your industry, they should go into join an organization, right? They should network.
Join SHEP. There's so many organizations out there that you can join, specifically SHEP, because SHEP has a lot of networking events that you can go to, and listen, you don't even need an engineering degree, to be honest with you. There's so many people.
Because you started as an architect and then you
there's so many people that
have
have history degrees in the construction company, and I was in awe when I found this out. At the end of the day, you learn a job, and it's all about people skills.
Yeah.
How good are you with dealing with other people, with dealing with difficult people?
And doing presentations. That's how
doing presentations, you know, networking and coming to work and being a team player. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Team player. You know, learning to deal with difficult people, because you're going to have people that are just going to be really annoying, and you need to know how to manage that. So you really don't need an engineering degree. I mean, I would definitely encourage people to get one, but in some cases, some people don't.
Thank you. I just wanted to be able to thank
over?
you for yes, we're almost over.
Oh
we
my
have a minute. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You are incredible Latina, and not only Latina, but Dominicana that is making things happen. And thank you so much for your advice. I think it's very important that we believe in ourselves, that we take risk, that no matter what people actually tell us, that we actually going to prove them wrong.
Correct.
And to be courageous enough to speak up. I know that we as Latina and women all need that. I know we all do, especially myself.
We
so
do.
I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you so much for watching all of our Trailblazer series. As you know, we are done with Women's History Month with our Trailblazer series where we highlight Latinas, specifically in different fields. Please stay tuned for our next interviews. We will continue to have these sporadically and at different times. To watch all of our interviews, please do go onto our websites at bellafashionistas.com and bronxnet.org. Also follow us on social media platforms at Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube at Bellas Fashionistas, and our Instagram at @B_Fashionistas. In addition to our media partner, thank you so much, BronxNet, for allowing us to be in your beautiful studio. Thank you, everyone. And do not forget to go also onto their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at BronxNet TV. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. See you next time.